I signed the contract that would make my best friend a 50-50 partner in my company. 3 months later, he locked me out of my own office, drained the accounts, and disappeared with everything I built. But what he didn't know was that I kept one document he never saw, and it would destroy him. This is the story of Marcus Chun, a software engineer who built a 6-figure SaaS business from his garage, only to watch his childhood friend steal it all in a legal loophole. But Marcus didn't just fight back, he rebuilt, outsmarted, and took back everything with interest. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, hit subscribe. This one will hit different. Marcus and David met in middle school, two immigrant kids in Silicon Valley, bonding over broken computers and dreams, too big for their beat-up backpacks. High School, they were coding websites for local businesses out of Marcus's garage. David handled sales. Marcus built the products. It was perfect. Fast forward 10 years, Marcus had turned those garage projects into Zendesk, a project management tool for remote teams. He'd bootstrapped it to $450,000 in annual revenue, working 80-hour weeks while David bounced between jobs, always saying he'd join when the timing was right. Then, in 2019, the timing finally was. David came to Marcus with a pitch. Let me run sales and growth. You focus on product. We'll scale this thing to 7 figures. Marcus hesitated. His wife, Sarah, warned him. Get a lawyer. Draw up ironclad agreements. But Marcus waved it off. This was David. His brother, the guy who'd lent him $500 when his car broke down in college. The guy who'd been at his wedding. So Marcus did what he thought was right. He offered David 50% equity in exchange for running sales and bringing in 3 major clients within 6 months. He signed. They celebrated. And for 90 days, everything was perfect. David moved fast. Too fast. Within weeks, he'd changed the company's banking setup for easier expense tracking, he said. He added himself as the primary contact with their payment processor. He registered a new LLC in Delaware, claiming it was for tax optimization. Marcus, buried in product development for a new feature launch, didn't think twice. He trusted David to handle the business side. Month 2, David closed a deal with a mid-sized marketing agency, $120,000 annual contract. Marcus was thrilled. Finally, the partnership was paying off. But when he checked the company account to see the deposit, something felt off. The balance was lower than expected. Hey, where's the payment from the agency? Marcus texted David. Processing. Should hit tomorrow. It didn't. Marcus called the client directly. They'd paid in full 3 weeks ago to an account Marcus didn't recognize. His stomach dropped. He logged into the company dashboard. Locked out. Password changed. He called David. Straight to voicemail. He drove to the office's small space they'd rented downtown. The locks were changed. A new sign on the door. Zendesk Solutions, LLC. Authorized personnel only. Marcus stood there, staring at his own company name on a door he couldn't open, and felt his legs give out. David had done it. He'd used Marcus's trust, the partnership agreement, and a series of legal maneuvers to execute what's called a corporate takeover from within. He'd transferred all assets to the new Delaware LLC-1 Marcus had unknowingly authorized him to create. He'd moved the clients, the contracts, the cash, everything. And because Marcus had signed a poorly worded partnership agreement without a lawyer, David technically owned 50% of the decision-making power. He'd outmaneuvered him. Marcus went home that night and told Sarah. She didn't say "I told you so." She just held him while he cried. For 2 weeks, Marcus was a ghost. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. He'd wake up at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying every decision, every signature, every moment he'd ignored the red flags. But on day 15, something shifted. He was going through old emails, looking for any documentation that might help in a lawsuit, when he found it. An email from 9 months earlier before David joined. A client had asked Marcus to sign an NDA and IP agreement for a custom feature build. The agreement explicitly stated that all intellectual property created for Zentask belonged solely to Marcus Chun, founder and sole owner at the time. David had used the Zentask name, the code, the brandall of it to operate the Delaware LLC, but he didn't own the IP. Marcus did Marcus set up. His hands started shaking. Not from fear this time, from rage. Focused, calculated rage. He called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a corporate litigation specialist who'd handled IP theft cases for tech startups. Her name was Rebecca Lawson, and her first words were, "Do you have documentation proving you owned the IP before he joined?" "I do." "Then we have a case. But litigation is slow and expensive. If you want to really hurt him, we need to be smarter." Rebecca laid out the plan. They'd file an IP infringement lawsuit and a cease and desist, forcing David to stop using the Zentask name and code. Simultaneously, Marcus would rebuild the business under a new brand, targeting the same clients David had stolen but with a better product and the moral high ground. Marcus got to work. While David was busy playing CEO, Marcus was coding 16 hours a day, rebuilding Zentask from scratch with new features David's version didn't have. He called it TaskForge. Faster, cleaner, better. He reached out to every client David had stolen, not with anger, but with honesty. "I'm Marcus, the original founder. I built what you're using. I'm offering you a better version, and I'll honor your current contract terms if you switch." One by one, they listened. And one by one, month 4, David got the cease and desist. His lawyer told him the same thing Rebecca had told Marcus. The IP case was airtight. If AFO gets it, he'd lose everything in court and face additional damages. David tried to negotiate. He called Marcus, his voice shaking. "Come on, man. We can work this out. I made a mistake. Let's split this fairly." Marcus's response was ice cold. "You already made your choice. Now live with it." David folded. He agreed to transfer the Delaware LLC, the remaining clients, and all assets back to Marcus in exchange for Marcus dropping the lawsuit. But Marcus wasn't done. He added one more condition. David would sign a public statement admitting to the corporate takeover and apologizing to the clients he deemed misled. If he refused, Marcus would take him to court and make the case public anyway. David signed. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. Not even David. While Marcus was rebuilding, he'd quietly pitched TaskForge to a venture capital firm that specialized in SaaS tools. They loved the story. They loved the product. They loved the founder who'd fought back. They offered Marcus $2 million in seed funding at a $10 million valuation. Marcus took the deal. He used the money to scale TaskForge, hire a team, and dominate the market David had tried to steal. Within 18 months, TaskForge hit $3 million in a Zentask. David's version was dead. A tech blog picked up the story. The headline read, "Founder betrayed by partner rebuilds empire and secures $2 million funding." David's name was in the article. So was his confession. He never worked in tech again. 2 years after the betrayal, Marcus sold TaskForge to a larger SaaS company for $15 million. He walked away with $8 million after taxes and investor payouts. He didn't call David. He didn't gloat. He didn't need to. The market had spoken, but the story doesn't end there. Last year, Marcus started a nonprofit called Second Build, which offers free legal resources and mentorship to founders who've been screwed over by partners. He's helped 47 entrepreneurs fight back against bad actors, recover stolen IP, and rebuild their businesses. When asked why he started it, Marcus said, "David taught me 2 things. First, trust is earned, not given. Second, the best revenge is undestructioned S-building, something so undeniable that the person who wronged you becomes irrelevant." David sent Marcus an email 6 months ago. One line, "I'm sorry." Marcus never replied. This is Plot Twist Tales, where justice isn't just served, it's rebuilt, reclaimed, and earned. If this story hit you, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. Subscribe for the next twist, and remember, The best comeback isn't revenge. It's becoming so successful that the betrayal becomes a footnote in your origin story.